Morning. So today, I want to look at something that a lot of you are attacking right now in your false beliefs of something in your egos. It's your egos. He didn't do these sorts of things. No one cares about your whiny anymore. I'm put the facts on the table right now. This is not a lie, this is not a joke. I'm about to show you something that might snap you out of this reality that you're deluded about. So, most people would think that going to court might take an hour, maybe two. They'd turn up with their fine and they'd fill out a simple piece of paper, maybe write a simple statement, then go to court, and that's all they know. But when you're talking about something like the jibby-jabbies, you're not talking about one or two pieces of paper and a simple statement, are you? And when you talk about my experience and what happened to me, we're not talking about a simple piece of paper either. Now, I'll just show you very quickly. Right, that's sideways. That's sideways. Right, now if that was standing on its end, right, that's a good foot high, 12 inches high already. Now, they're the original documents, the original documents, you know, the ones that have got all of the stamps on them, you know, those stamps to say they've been filed in a courtroom, right? And those stamps there, right, that say they've been filed in a courtroom. Now this box is only a quarter of the documents that I had to deal with while I was in a Northern Territory court. Only a quarter of the documents. These are all of the originals with the original stamps, where I've taken out all the duplicates and I'm left with this nice big fat box here that no one wants to believe is real. And there are certain people that have come in to disrupt you all over the last 2 weeks and try and whinge and whine that Steve didn't do things at all. I'm a liar, apparently, that carries around the evidence of his court matters from 11 years ago, 12 years ago. That's over a decade ago. That's over a decade ago. Look at it. That's a full box of court-registered documents. Court-registered documents written by me, written by the state or Northern Territory, which is not a state, written by the territory, written by employers, written by police, written by the Northern Territory governments, written by judges, written by all these different people, and you all think you can walk into a courtroom with one piece of paper and fight them? You all expect this to take, what, a couple of days? This took 3 years. 3 years turning up into a Northern Territory courtroom 2 or 3 times a week. 2 or 3 times a week. You look at lawyers that carry trolleys of documents into courtrooms. That's what I did. That's exactly what I did. So when you look and you think, wow, we've got to fight them, this is how you do it. This is how you get things done. This is how you prove it. Not your stupid, whiny ways. Not your ignorant, incompetent ways. This is evidence. This is accusations. This is real-world claims defined on the courtroom record. I mean, in relation to paragraph 1 of the SOC, the employer does not know and does not admit what the worker means. This is how you define a crime. This is how you beat them over the jibby-jabbies. This is how you beat them over your crown and your stone and your defence. The pen is mightier than the sword, right? The pen in our days is a computer that types and prints out documents. This is how you do it. I'm sick and tired of trying to explain to you the amount of effort that has gone into proving all of this to be the truth. You all think I read it in a book and wahoo, I can just go and claim it. This. With this. Registered post to parties concerned in triplicate, all dwindled down to single copies of original documents with real wet ink signature stamps and signatures on them by people like judges and registrars and courtrooms and officers of the court, like the clerk of the court. My experience is wide and great that you don't even consider. So maybe while you look at this big box of documents here, right, you'll realise something. Why would I keep it? Most people wouldn't realise that the Australian government attempts to silence people. Now, I was sent to a correctional facility for recording my own court matters in front of a criminal magistrate by the name of David Halpin of the Lismore Magistrates Court in New South Wales. Now, he sent me off to Cessnock Correctional Centre. Yeah, and I got shuffled around, right? I didn't get issued with one card, I got issued with 5 of them. I got shuffled around, here are all my luggage tags. But here's the worst part. They tried to drug me for what I believed. They tried to drug me for what I believed. Just like they did with the Kiskonen case. Right? And that is an international war crime. It's an actual serious criminal offence to try and silence someone for their beliefs, which are defined here, aren't they? Are they facts or beliefs? Are they things defined before a judge or just beliefs? So when you come to a correctional centre and you get sent away because you're questioning a magistrate who then failed to go through your case lawfully, sent you off to a correctional centre before you even had a case, then had you attempted to be drugged by a mental health nurse, I saw the liquid squirt out of the needle while a psychiatrist said that won't be necessary. And she squirted all the liquid into the air and it all landed on the floor. She stormed off and came back with a rag and wiped up the floor. She was pissed off that she couldn't drug me. She was pissed off that she couldn't jab me with a needle. It was very evident, very, very evident that they wanted to dull the brain of someone that believed something different to the state itself, not realising that I'd already defined it on a courtroom record many, many years before. See? So, was that a lot of information that you didn't get to see? Because I'm not going to show it to you. You can pester it as much as you like. You're not going to see it. There's some personal information in there that you're pestering to look at because you don't believe that I did what I did. Well, I got nothing to say anymore. Nothing. You destroyed yourselves over your inability to see what needed to be done to fix your country, and you tantied like little children instead. So what are you? Little children. Internet brain, remember? Little children. Little children that can't wipe the snot off their own noses. Little children. That's all it is your inability to recognise that things aren't going to be quick. They're not. These things take years. I spent 3 years in a Northern Territory court against a council and the Northern Territory government. Right? I then presented before a court in New South Wales after testing them for evidence. For evidence. And you all look at it like you're tantying for a crime. No, I did something specific to break the law, to end up before David Halpin in the Magistrates Court at Lismore, to be sent to that jail, to gather that evidence. I didn't expect to get sent to jail, and David Halpin knows he's an evil piece of shit for what he did in the courtroom, asking me if that was my newborn son before sending me off to that jail. Aren't you a piece of shit, David Halpin? Can't the rest of us call you a piece of shit? Yes, we can, because you're an evil motherfucker. You're an evil motherfucker that deserves everything that's coming for you, David. You broke the law. You committed acts of treason against your own country. You stood there like you were God. You abused the system. You failed a court case without going through the actual trial of that court case, David Halpin. It's going to catch up with you. Because people like me keep that paperwork. People like me build more. People like me come with piles of paperwork. And just to give you people an idea, that little box that I showed you on the floor was almost up to my nipples, height-wise, before I started going through it and throwing out all the duplicates and copies. I ended up with that box of purely original documents. Purely original documents. So, for all of you that have attempted to say I didn't do things, for all of you that haven't known what I have done, you can see. It's a reality. It's not some deluded thought that you all have trying to get out of fines. It's not some deluded thought I have about presenting you with the evidence that was discovered through that entire process. Oh, he doesn't know how to get out of a fine. I don't want to. I want to fix my country from people like David Halpin, criminal magistrate in the New South Wales Magistrates Courts, wherein multiple magistrates of New South Wales have been caught out committing heinous international war crimes. War crimes. And these things happened long before the Ovids and the jibby-jabbies they gave you in society, because they were trying to silence people for their beliefs in a courtroom by putting them in jail and drugging them. Just look at the Kiskonen case. Just look at what they actually did to a man for his beliefs that turned out to be the truth. The truth. You think we're backing down from this? You're sadly mistaken. Sadly mistaken, given that the Australian government is in cahoots with war criminals internationally. In cahoots with bankers and foreign powers internationally that have jabbed you, drugged you, abused their privilege, defrauded administration, failed about dividends in relation to mining interests that belong to all of you, while they give mining dividends to minority populations and try and referendum your blessing of Almighty God out of you to give it to that minority population. It's called apartheid. It's actually a technical war crime. We're starting to realise how ignorant you all are, how stupid you all are, believing that you can fight this like a fine. You're starting to realise this now. These people are international war criminals. And you do nothing about it. You do absolutely nothing about it. While evil walks your country's land, you do nothing about it. So I'd like to welcome you to country. I'd like to welcome you to the Commonwealth of Australia that your Anzac died. 62,000 men died to be and defend. And you all sit there giving it away to a minority population that have no technical, legal, international claim because they haven't defined the blessing of Almighty God in their own claims. And we stand here welcoming you to Australia, welcoming you to what is royal, welcoming you to the Commonwealth that 62,000 men laid down their lives for, that Anthony Albanese has zero respect for. Zero respect. This man's turned into a clown, mocking you, and you can't even see that. This man stood on a stage at a concert where he was invited to speak and said that they didn't invite him. This man undermines your constitution by putting a referendum out from the executive branches of government without putting it through the Senate properly. This man tried to undermine your very constitution so that you are no longer the owners of it. Welcome to your country. Welcome to your Commonwealth. Welcome to your land. Always was, always will be a delusion until you step up and defend. Is this what's required? 10 times this. Is that what's required? Now on your fine level, you all complain. Man, you don't have a right to do this to me. Man, you're this power. Man, you don't have authority. Smashing windows. How many windows have been smashed? Not one of you pointed out the actual offence that's being committed here, which is called human trafficking. Human trafficking. Would that make Attorney General Christian Porter head of Human Services a human trafficker? Would that make Centrelink human trafficking? Maybe not. Maybe as a human you've been warded to the state. I mean, you're not men. But when they come and issue a traffic notice, which puts a sweat labour on you, that becomes human trafficking. And that's an international criminal offence if you knew who you were and you knew your standing at law. You'd be able to say to a judge, "Excuse me, Your Honour, I believe that this police prosecutor is human trafficking right now. And I believe that the police are human trafficking in this country. Here's the evidence of it in my traffic notice. Evidence of human trafficking. Evidence of putting a sweat labour on a people to pay off a debt. Slavery. Slavery. You can't equate this stuff because you don't know where you came from and you don't know who you are, and we're trying to show you these facts. Instead, you try and do all of these stupid things at law, not knowing the law. Human trafficking is what's going on. They're putting a debt directly on you that impacts you and your family and your home. Slavery. Real world international slavery by banks called bondage. So you can see very clearly that you guys do not put in much effort at all. And you don't seem to comprehend the amount of effort that's required to be able to even deal with the situation you're in. Because all I see is a bunch of children that think they can tanty their way out instead of looking at the reality of what you face. These people are international war criminals that have demonstrated this in genocidal maniac land right now. All you need to do is look at how many people stood up and defended the genocidal maniacs. And then all you have to do is look at what Albo did to undermine your referendum and undermine your constitution. They didn't even tell you what they wanted to change in the constitution, and that's an act of treason. It's an act of treachery against the constitution itself. And you are just blindly allowing it to occur. Totally blindly allowing it to occur. I've been warning you for a long time, years. I wrote a letter in 2020, 2019, warning you very clearly what was coming for you, and it came, and it went, and many of you died because of it. Because of it. So, what do we say there? When you were warned beforehand that maniacs in control of your parliament were going to murder you. Murder you. On purpose. With an emergency procedure called medical experimentation at law. At law. An international and technical serious war crime. You are unwilling to or incapable of dealing with. So what do we say? If this is the game you've been playing on Facebook, on all your Instagrams, all your TikToks, you don't want to deal with the actual problem, you want to whine about it in front of everyone else like little children on the internet, thinking that the internet's going to save your world. Well, it's not. It's not. This constant sharing stupid shit between each other hasn't helped you, has it? Ignoring someone that stood in a courtroom for years and to find facts on table before a judge, that hasn't helped you either, has it? Interesting, right? That you keep failing, and it's because of the reasons I pointed out in this video. You're incapable of going into those courtrooms. You're incapable of dealing with such a large problem that might take years to deal with. You're incapable of uniting. You're incapable of being a people that we can speak for. That in itself's a bit of a drama, isn't it? Because you're all egos. Oh, I want to be it. Well, why does he have to be? Look at the paperwork. I mean, it's got to come to a reality now, doesn't it? You've got to realise something now. Someone put in the hard yards while you all sat on Facebook and TikTok and Instagram and WhatsApp and all the rest of it, whining at each other. Welcome to reality. Now lastly, I've been in hell, and you can see I look a lot healthier now. So I'd like to thank Jason again for fattening me up a little bit more. I'd like to thank Jason again for actually recognising what's going on. I'd like to point out very clearly that I've been in hell for the last year, and no one's considered the hell that I've been in while they all raped me for my knowledge, for their own self-benefit. And what I've come to realise is that none of them wanted to fix your country. They wanted to be heroes for their own self-worth. And that's a real sad problem. So I'd like to thank quite a few people. Elizabeth, thank you very much for helping me get out of that. Jason, thank you very much for fattening me up, making me a little bit more healthy again after I've been very, very sick. I'd like to point out to everyone else, I have been sick. And you've been accusing me of all these different things. Well, I've been trying to recover. Well, I've been trying to show you the facts. And you don't want to know the facts, and you just want to abuse. Like those Zionists you see on the media right now, doing the ad hominem attacks instead of dealing with the actual accusations they've been accused of. Accused of. And that's what you lot do. You attack the messenger instead of the message that's being brought to you. And it's starting to come to fruition now, a long time later. You realise all your stupid's not working. You realise all your Facebook, TikTok-y crap doesn't get you anywhere. You need to do that paperwork. You need to stand united. You need to raise those red ensigns as the people you actually are in international law. And you need to start looking at all those politicians like Ricardo Bossi that have been selling you lies and trying to keep you away from who you are as a people in international law. You might want to look at these people like Pauline Hanson, who use this information for our own benefit without actually speaking up for you in these matters. You might want to look at Malcolm Roberts. I mean, he's doing quite well in the Senate estimates. But you might want to look at all these people and realise they don't actually serve you. They serve an administrating power in your lands. They serve a bank. And you need to realise this. They serve their portfolios, not you. So it's up to all of you now to have a think about your inadequacies, about your false beliefs, about the way you don't tackle a problem, about the way you politicise an actual criminal offence instead of dealing with it as an offence. You don't accuse them of anything. You whine at them and tanty like children, giving them a right to somewhat nanny you like the children you became. So it's up to you to realise now there's a lot more to this than a courtroom if you want to become self-determined again as a country. And that's something you need to look at. We speak about the silver currency, we speak about the gold, we speak about Section 115 of the Constitution. We look at Section 116 and define Anthony Albanese's crimes going against Section 116 in his undermining of the blessing of Almighty God defined in the Constitution that he's unable to undermine from inside an office within the Constitution. God exists above it. God is the line of authority to it. And Anthony Albanese and his cronies are currently trying to take that away from you because you're all ignorant and act like children and don't stand up for it. So maybe it's now time for you to realise and start standing up as that people and start making those accusations that they are actually international war criminals. Because you know, under the blessing of Almighty God, where your foundations are finally defined.
It is your donations that help us to continue putting videos like this together. So thank you in advance.